we're speeding.
Well, how would you two gentlemen describe what it is about what you did and what Walt Disney did and your fellow animators that gave your work such universal appeal then and now?
We were able to communicate our feelings about the characters to the audience and make them come to life, and they express their emotions and their feelings just like any human being would have, something they can identify with that's familiar to them. They see these little characters with emotions on their face and their bodies and performing for the camera.
Yeah, and Walt had a way of challenging you. He was trying to lift you up, always to do better than you'd done in the last picture. And as one animator said, shortly after we came there, he said, "Why does Walt always ask you to do something you don't know how to do? Why can't he just make a picture of the things we know how to do? You know, it'd be a lot easier." But no, Walt was always very critical of himself, his own judgment, his own ideas. Yet he had far better ideas than anyone else. And story is the vision of where you're going with the pictures. But I think the main thing was that he was not only supportive of the crew, the people who worked with him closely, but he demanded that they do better work. Always, we said, perfection is what he pays you for. It's what goes beyond perfection that he wants. So you're always challenged. You say, "Boy, I hope Walt's right. I don't know how I'm going to do this." When he asks you to take a drop of water and give it a personality, what do? A doorknob. How do you make a doorknob have personality?
He was a great actor himself, too. He could come into a meeting, describe what he was going to do, what he felt about the characters, then get up and act some of it out. When I started on Jungle Book, he was telling me about how Phil Harris was the kind of guy who was always snapping his fingers and working to music. And Walt got up and did this little dance where he went forward and then back, and he gave the whole key to the character through that little bit of acting.
When you guys were actually creating scenes with Baloo and Pinocchio and Bambi, these various characters, did you have any idea as you were drawing them that they'd have this type of universal appeal? Was that part of your consciousness that they were going to last this long?
You hoped they would.
Well, I never hoped they'd last this long. I hoped that they would last one picture so we could do another one. And I never even thought of a re-release. And when they started after 7 years, let's re-release Snow White again. Then because of the war, losing the foreign market and everything, Pinocchio did not pay for itself, and Fantasia did not pay for itself, and Bambi was a disaster. But about 7 years later, they all started coming in. I remember Walt stopped us in the hall one day and said, "Hey, Bambi just paid for itself." We said, "Gee, hooray!" It seems so long ago that we did that picture. But somehow he could keep things going.
At one point in the film, you mentioned that two of you and Walt speak the same language. And you begin to elaborate on that, but if you can elaborate a little further, what is that language that the three of you spoke that kept it going?
Well, I think it's bringing the characters to life through establishing personalities that the audience can identify with, and getting, of course, the entertainment through the personalities. His big thing was entertainment, communicating entertainment, and the big way he did it was through personalities, not just gags, but he got the humor out of what the characters did rather than somebody bumping into something or falling on his face. He got it out of the relationship of one character to another. He got the humor that way.
See, there were other animators who didn't feel the same way as we did. A large number of them, and some of them thought that it all ought to be gags, inventive gags, new gags, different gags, but always it had to be funny, because Walt said entertainment, so you'd be funny. Others would say, no, he doesn't mean funny for entertainment. A football game's entertaining, there are no laughs in it, and a mystery story's entertaining. So when he says entertainment, he doesn't mean just laughs. He means, we were sure that he meant getting inside the character in a way that the audience could identify with. And many of them tried to do that, but they tried to do it in different ways, by better drawings, stronger drawings, by a better staging. The layout men were felt they were very instrumental in making the picture a success because they would lay out the scenes, what they should be, what angle, how close you are to the character. And of course, as animators, you'd change that the first thing you'd do. Then the effects men would come along and have a big splash of water and cover the whole thing anyway.
I think you two and the film are an inspiration not only to animators, but to people who want to lead happy, productive lives that are full of creativity and imagination. What do you think it is about the two of you? What qualities do you have that can be an inspiration to people?
I think we were always trying to do something together. We were working on a project, a book, or whatever. We wrote 4 books together. When we were at the studio, we would drive to and from work together, always talking about how you could improve the scenes we were working on. I think the fact that we both like to do something well, and we're not the same type of personalities, really. He's much more analytical than I am. I'm more intuitive. I jump into something. He considers it more carefully. But the fact that we liked working on things together and developing them, improving them, and that's where the fun came. And I think we started that even back in college.
I have time for one more. One point in the film where you mentioned Walt became, I don't know if he was so much deserted animation, but he went on to pursue other projects.
Mm-hmm.
Namely, it looked like Disneyland was the big one as far as other ventures. If you can just talk about that briefly, what that was like, and if you feel like he deserted you, what were your initial feelings about Disneyland and the theme park itself?
Oh, they were great.
Yeah.
In some cases, we wish we were still with him working on those projects. And then we'd talk to the guys who were, and they'd say, no, you're better off where you are. He's really shooting high on these projects. You know, Mr. Lincoln, he tells them, said, we're going to build a figure here who'll walk up and down and hold his lapels like this and make gestures and talk to you. And the engineers would say, he's going to do what? And then he would read in the newspaper. That's what he told the Illinois legislature.
Governor, he told the governor, he says it'll be ready in April, and the guys hadn't even started it yet.
Well, they hadn't found a way to do it yet. And they thought he was gone back there to apologize and say, no, we're not going to make that. But no, he went back and sold them. I was having lunch with the guys the next day, and they said, God, did you see the papers this morning? What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? But that's the way Walt was. He was always curious and going on to the next one, and what more can you do? It was very exciting to be around because he was excited.
I think he developed the entertainment of this century. The new ways, the parks, his animation, whatever he did was something new and fresh that was much better than what had been done before. I think he has given this whole country, the whole world, a great way of having entertainment and enjoying their lives.
Great. Thank you both.
Thank
My pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.